We got to go when the going is good and hit the buttons when we can. The going is good and get the glasses proper. Hit the buttons when we can. The going is good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. In case you've noticed, I fight with this camera every time I reboot the system. Okay, Gannett spoofed advertisers for 9 months, but don't worry, it only cost them, the advertisers, an estimated $10 million, and that's a drop in the bucket. And what they apparently did was they said you were advertising on this Detroit Free Press, more than 180 dogs found on blighted property in northern Michigan. I believe that. When you meant to get, what you actually advertised on was Purdy throws for 3 touchdowns and 14, anyway, something. When in Iowa State routes UNLV 48-3. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so Gannett, publisher of USA Today, I was trying to remember who Gannett Publishing was, and they also own a whole bunch of regional and city newspapers and things, provided inaccurate information to advertisers for 9 months, misrepresenting billions of ads. Okay? They basically mislabeled the ad space incorrectly. So people thought they bought an ad on one platform or one website, and they actually bought space on another, which has some great advantages to the advertiser, to the company selling the ads, because, you know, if you've got some low spots, some ads that nobody wants, you can pawn them off as front page USA Today. So this news broke Wednesday, and Braden Vickers, an independent ad industry researcher, it seems caught the ad. Vickers found the spoofing through header bidding, scripts running in a browser making requests that trigger the auctions. It's possible to inspect the requests the browser sends to see how Gannett represents the ad inventory, he wrote. In September 2021, I noticed the domains and page URLs included in some of those requests didn't seem to match the actual page being loaded. Okay. Didn't seem to. So this went from September from May until May 2021 until detected on March 4th by apparently, or the company corrected it finally on March 4th. You know, if he discovered it in September, it seems to have taken an awful long time to straighten it out. And so this is just this is media, or this is Marketing Daily, and they're just kind of reporting it. But then there's another article in LinkedIn, and actually I can't figure out who's, because they reverse out these things and it makes them impossible to read. But anyway, I'll track it down. Do certifications and accreditations help reduce the fraud? No, not even a bit. So the advertising distributors, the ad distributors, were certified with TAG certification, but TAG doesn't have any tech, any data, no experience, and doesn't even look again for the rest of the year after they receive payment. So to get certified, you pay TAG, and that says you're on up and up. You're on the up and up. But in the case of this sort of fraud, no one is really looking for it. Fraud detection tech doesn't work. Everyone ignored it, and TAG certification and MRC accreditation are pay-to-play farces. Well, maybe some or all of those are true. It's hard to say. So anyway, it's a big deal, and Augustine Fu, my friend, says advertisers should ask for proof that the parties, the ad tech companies that they're buying from, are actually enforcing the most basic checks for fraud. Dr. Augustine Fu told Adweek. Shouldn't you? Okay, so we'd like to hear some feedback on this. And, you know, like they said, it was only a $10 million error. Not so bad. What could be wrong with that? Okay, and here's an article by my friend Stephen Yu Excellent article. He's got some nuggets in here that are just spectacular. Okay, modeling turns the risky unknown into the hopeful potential. That's kind of an odd headline for science. It sounds more spiritual. But anyway, let's assume you have to choose between two hypothetical options. A near certain answer. It's almost 100% likely to be right, but you won't know for 2 or 3 months, or an estimate that's only 80% accurate, but you'll know in 1 to 2 weeks. Almost everybody wants to know faster, because 3 months from now is a long time, and you're cruising along in January thinking the world is great. Maybe you're watching the Olympics and all of a sudden COVID hits, or somebody invades another country and the markets go crazy, and then they may be back to normal by the time 3 months is up. Nobody knows. The last time gas hit this high a price, well, this is a new record, but the last time gas got close to this, within 3 months, I think, it was down below where it had been before the crisis hit. So, don't drive so much. Maybe. Okay. So most people would pick the latter because the rapidly changing world doesn't wait for certainty. And as I said in the 80s, yes, tomorrow will be like yesterday, except if it isn't, right? The real joke is that most predictions aren't 80% accurate anyway. That is a pretty good joke, right? And so why are the predictions so bad? Well, the most prominent one is insufficient data. Now, I chuckled at this one because, right, there is zero data. There is zero data from the future. None, zero, nada, nunca, never, nothing. There is nothing. No one has any data from the future. All data is from the past. And some is better than others, but a lot of it if things change, then, when people were saying that COVID was a novel virus, nothing ever seen before, unless you check the Merck's patent from 2017 or something. But other than that, it was novel in the real world, and that's just a rumor. I don't know if that's true, but it's going around. Anyway, let's just say it was true. Let's say it was a novel virus. And I said to myself, well, if it's novel, then we're not sure what to do. Then nothing we've done in the past, to the extent that it's a whole new thing, overlays that puzzle. You can't take a novel virus and apply previous treatment. It doesn't work. You gotta start from scratch. That's just science, okay? The reason science works is that tomorrow is kind of like yesterday. And that's the truth. Okay, so if we could see into the future, see, Stephen gets this. If we could see into the future, we would never need any modeling. Okay? So he said, but, a lot of the data we do have our hands on, the data dictionaries say they're 100% filled, but big chunks of data are filled with estimated values. I remember when I was working with Amoco Oil, and we were trying to analyze gas stations, and I thought to myself, well, what's an average gas station look like? It was like 8 employees. And if you looked at National Business List, they listed pretty much all the gas stations at 8 employees. I once was on a flight and sat next to Hal Burnett, Ed Burnett's brother, who in part ran National Business List, and he said to me, most of those employee numbers are made up. We just sat around and thought, well, how many people work at a gas station? But when you actually looked at the sales data, the 80-20 rule worked just like magic. Most gas stations were small, but some gas stations, like on I-80, coming around Chicago, you had the big truck stops, the monster truck stops, and they had, they were the 20% of the gas stations that had 80% of the business right there. So estimated values are better than complete unknowns. And what we're really looking for is some kind of directional guidance, right? But the fact is, we're always looking at historical data. Okay, now he gives us a little history lesson. Wouldn't it be nice to know who's likely to respond to offers before marketers commit to sending expensive print catalogs to everyone in the database, right? Out of a million customers, who should receive the offer? And that's kind of what I have done for the last 28 years or something like that. Thousands of models deciding the fate of millions of customers, okay? And marketers were able to cut down the mailing size by 70% or 80% and still obtained the desired number of conversions. That's almost never the case. Okay, so I told Dick Cabela, I told him a lot of things that were probably, he had a really good sense of reality, Dick. I don't know if he ever went to college. I'm guessing he didn't. But when I told him I could cut 20% of the mailing and only lose 5% of the orders, he said, I don't want to lose 20% or 5% of my orders. I'd have to lay people off. Tell me how to grow, don't tell me how to shrink. And companies have notoriously done this shrink to greatness formula. Let's only mail the people we know are going to respond. And you don't know, because you don't know. And what I showed Dick to try to grow Cabela's, which worked smashingly, was that if we could decide not only who to mail, but who to send what to, and that's down here in this thing. Personalization isn't just knowing who to talk to. We must also figure out what to offer, how often, and through what channel. So what we did was we worked really hard at figuring out who was a serious hunter or a serious fisherman, and there was only 10% overlap, I think, something like that, much lower than anybody expected. In their database, it was much higher, but they treated as equal someone who bought one fishing lure 10 years ago, but $5,000 worth of hunting gear, with the guy who'd bought $5,000 worth of fishing gear and one camo hat or something. So we sorted that out. We said, how much of a hunter are they? How much of a fisherman? When was the last time they bought hunting? Not just when was the last time they bought and did they buy hunting gear? And that was a big breakthrough. And what we found is things like, we found that if you bought an expensive item like a muzzle loader, those are about $400 or $500. And what usually happened was you went dormant for a while. We figure it was because your wife saw the box come and said, now what'd you buy from Cabela's? And then what we found was that, because machines are great at spotting things that humans are unlikely to see, and that's the really fun part. The really fun part is that models often reveal hidden patterns. When working with hundreds of variables, which we were with Cabela's, machines don't care what you've seen in the past. They just find the best predictors and expose interesting interactions. So when looking at somebody with a high single ticket purchase, what we found was that that they might come back to life. And we also found that the percentage of mobile homes as dwelling values and the divorce rate were also quite high. So we just, this is like building a persona. We just said, okay, well, so he orders the muzzle loader, and after the divorce is settled, he's forced to move into a mobile home. And then when we mail those old muzzle loader buyers about 4 years later, man, they outperformed the hotline sometimes, if it was hunting season and all the rest. So, so that's, I'm on the same page with Stephen, but predictions will never be 100% accurate, and we're really in pursuit of the least wrong answer. And often it's easier to rule out people. So if you're selling something super expensive, $5,000 travel packages, it might be if the person's credit rating is low or their net worth is low, that they don't have much chance. It's easier to decide that they don't have much chance than it is to decide who of the high income, high net worth people are going to be interested in that particular vacation. That's very, very, very difficult. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if they have family there. You don't know, you don't know if they've been there 6 times and they want to go someplace different. You just don't know what's going on in people's head. But the main thing that makes modeling work is that when we see repeated patterns through time, when we look at that percentage of mobile homes and it works repeatedly, we start to form we start to build an explanation for why. And it's because people want outdoor entertainment. They want, well, first of all, it's in warmer weather, so they might be outdoors more. It might correlate with fishing stores. We actually built that variable. Fishing stores per capita per zip code for Cabela's. It didn't do what we expected, but that's part of the fun. And then when you don't know what else to do, you start looking at those variables and pushing them into the model and saying, well, what is there a bump from that? So what we're really trying to do is we're trying to form a theory, because a theory basically takes the past and explains that there's a connection to the future. And so that's where you're really going with modeling. And unfortunately today, most modelers are using neural net processing and things that really don't tell you what the connections are and what the individual variables are doing in the mix. It's just a big mix and it picks each customer. And I'm not saying it's not effective. It just doesn't give you the answers. And so when I was teaching Dick Cabela about modeling, I said, Dick, pretend you had one catalog left. This is the least wrong answer. The least wrong answer right here. I said, pretend we had one catalog left. Would you rather send it to somebody that lived in a mobile home or somebody that lived in a high rise? This was for fishing. Lived in a high rise in Manhattan and had tons of money. He said, well, money is always good to have, but he said a lot of times the guy with less money is going to be more of a fisherman. And I said, that's what the model says. And he says, that's what fishermen are like. And we went step by step by step and showed him the correlations the modeling process found, which we were able to do because of our system, which is a little bit unique that way, where it both uses hundreds of variables and also lets you see what's going on. That's kind of unique. But anyway, so on balance, I agree with Steve and you. I don't have a word limit, so I can say a little more. But excellent article. Thank you, Stephen, and I highly recommend it. So have a great day. Like and share, comment. Those are worth a lot more than likes. Shares, I think, are worth more than that. Have a great day. Bye-bye.